Life is the best lucid dreaming technique, and here's how you can turn your life into the ultimate way to have easy lucid dreams. Okay, so everybody seems to be searching for the perfect lucid dreaming technique. But what if I was to tell you that it's right in front of your nose, it's your life? And that actually the best lucid dreamers don't use techniques at all, they just change how they live. And the great thing is, when you turn your life into a lucid dreaming technique, you'll no longer have to do all those weird things that you see on the lucid dreaming forums, wiggling your fingers in the middle of the night, counting backwards, imagining a lotus in your throat. Suddenly you can just live a better life and have better lucid dreams. So today I'm going to teach you how to turn your life into a lucid dreaming technique. But before we do that, we first need to understand what normal techniques actually are. What is a lucid dreaming technique? It's really easy to think that lucid dreaming techniques are something special, a kind of magical recipe that if you follow the instructions perfectly, you will guarantee a lucid dream tonight. But that's the completely wrong way to think about techniques. Lucid dreaming techniques aren't special. What they essentially are is a form of training wheel. It's a way to train your mind to do something new, a new way to think, a new thing to focus on. Or to put it into really simple language, most people's brains are not aligned with what is necessary for lucid dreams. People just don't think and behave in a way that would lead to lucid dreams. So techniques are kind of a shorthand hack, a way to trick people into thinking in the correct way. So it's absolutely not what you do or the order in which you do it, but it's what doing those things does to how you think and how you perceive reality. And if thinking is the most important thing, well, the best way to do that, the best way to train that is right here, right now, in your life. The reality of lucid dreams. Lucid dreaming, in a nutshell, is noticing that you're dreaming while you're dreaming. It's very similar to this. Up until this point in the video, you weren't thinking about or focused on your breathing. You absolutely didn't notice it. But now I've drawn your attention to it, you're very aware of the sensation of air going into your body and leaving. And of course you'd been breathing throughout the entire video, you just hadn't given your attention to it, you hadn't noticed. And exactly the same is true of lucid dreams. In all dreams you are dreaming, and you simply don't notice that you are. So all we have to do is to change where we pay attention. A dream is a mirror of your life, and because of that, when you're dreaming, you focus on the things happening in the dream, the storyline, the conversations, the environment, the emotions you're having. They're where your attention sits, exactly the same as in your waking life. So in order to notice something, to become aware of it, we have to give it our attention, just like your breathing, or just like your feet. You weren't thinking about your feet before, but I drew your attention to them, and now you're very aware of your feet. But in our waking lives and in our dreams, we're never giving our attention to the possibility that we could be dreaming, and that's the only change we need to make in order to have lucid dreams. But hold on a second. But there's a problem, right? Because if I tell you to focus on your feet, you have feet that you can notice. If I tell you to focus on your breathing, you're breathing and you notice it. But what is it about dreams that you can notice to make you aware that you're dreaming? Thankfully, there is one simple answer, and it is logical inconsistencies. Dreams mirror reality, but the mirror has imperfections. And most of those imperfections are logical inconsistencies. So in order to notice if we're dreaming, we just need to notice if the world around us is logically consistent or logically inconsistent, or in other words, it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't add up. Waking life is consistent, dreams are not. So here's a few examples. You're at a family meal. The food is delicious, the conversation is interesting, and everything feels perfectly real. It seems to make sense. And then your grandmother hands you the potatoes. But hold on a second. Your grandmother passed away 10 years ago. This is logically inconsistent, therefore it must be a dream. Or perhaps you're walking down a street on a snowy winter's day, and you look down and you notice that you're wearing a t-shirt and shorts, but you feel perfectly warm. This is logically inconsistent, therefore it must be a dream. Or perhaps you've just walked into a store and you've bought a lotto scratch card. You scratch it off and you've just won £1 million. You're there with your friends, so you all celebrate. You're really excited. But this is logically inconsistent. It's incredibly improbable you'll ever win the lottery, so it's highly likely that you're dreaming. Or perhaps you're at a party and you really need to go to the loo. So you try to find the bathroom, but when you go in, everything is an absolute revolting mess. You can't use any of the stalls because they're so disgusting. So you leave and you try to find another bathroom. And when you go to that bathroom, all of the doors are made of glass, so you can't use that bathroom either because there's no privacy. This is logically inconsistent. While there is a chance that you might go to a dirty bathroom occasionally, to have such incredible bad luck when you're bursting for the loo makes it highly probable that you're dreaming. The problem: if you keep a dream journal, you will have had hundreds of examples like these. Weird, improbable, logically inconsistent events that keep turning up again and again. But the problem is, when they happen in our dreams, either we don't notice them, or when we do notice them, we come up with a conclusion that is equally as illogical. So, in the lottery example, in that dream, you probably won't realize that it's logically inconsistent and just be caught up in the excitement that you've won the lottery. In the example with your grandmother, rather than realize that it's impossible for the dead to come back to life, you might get overwhelmed emotionally and accept any illogical story as to why she's there. And this happens because we're simply not used to noticing logical inconsistencies, and if we do notice them, then we never conclude that the answer, the most likely answer, is that we're dreaming. The solution. So the solution is obvious. Turn your life into a lucid dreaming technique, the ultimate lucid dreaming technique. If to have a lucid dream, you need to notice that you're dreaming, and if the fingerprint of dreams is that they're logically inconsistent, then train yourself to notice logical inconsistencies. And when you do notice that there's an inconsistency, when things don't add up, don't be too quick to just easily shrug it off and accept the first semi-sensible answer, but first consider that perhaps the most logical answer is that this could be a dream right now. And this means adopting a kind of detective mindset where you go through life noticing what's happening, paying attention, not being dragged along by the tides of stories or feelings or just following the herd, but actually being present, actually noticing, asking questions. Why did this happen? Does this make sense? For example, why did the beads I've been wearing this entire video suddenly just vanish? Did you even notice? And if you did notice, did you shrug it off? Or did you think, hold on, that's an inconsistency. Perhaps it's inconsistent because this is a dream. The logical inconsistencies that occur within our dreams can range from the incredibly subtle, such as not remembering how you got to where you are, to the absurd, such as alien invasions. For the vast majority of people, noticing logical inconsistencies is not a priority, and the things people tend to prioritize are their emotions and what's going on around them, simply the storyline of life. So, if you want to turn your life into the ultimate lucid dreaming technique, then prioritize noticing logical inconsistencies. Make that a priority over the storyline of your life and your emotional state. Become a detective of reality. But remember, noticing is only half the equation. The second half is the explanation for the logical inconsistency. And if you want to be a lucid dreamer, one of the priority conclusions has to be, this could be a dream. And when you integrate this into how you think, into your lifestyle, becoming lucid in your dreams becomes as easy as noticing once again that you're breathing right now. But of course, there's always more to learn, so you can do that by watching this video here and subscribing just here. Thank you to my channel benefactors for making this video possible: Command Baker and Murat Yilmaz. And if you want to become a benefactor and be mentioned in the next video, click the join button and choose Channel Benefactor.